This is an overview of Lesson 1. First, we'll go over what HTML stands for. Next, we're going to talk about the structure of HTML. Then, we'll go over the basic HTML structure, semantic elements, block elements, and some basic tags. After that, we'll install Visual Studio Code for Windows 10, macOS Catalina, and Ubuntu 20.04 LTS. Finally, we're going to go over some example code. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Hypertext refers to text on a website that can be linked to other content on a website using hyperlinks. Let's look at an example. Here, you can see a website that has 3 pages: a home page, a products page, and an about page. You can link the home page to the products page by using hyperlinks. In this figure, you can see on the home page that there's a hyperlink products that when pressed will take you to the products page. In this figure, hyperlinks are shown as blue buttons that when pressed will take you to the page as indicated by the red arrows. Let's start defining a markup language. Let's begin by looking at document markup. One way that a document can be marked up is by circling a part of that document, drawing an arrow, and then identifying that part of the document using a comment. Looking at this document, we can see the markup. For example, my exercises is circled. There's an arrow and it states, "Make the main heading." Also, you can notice crunches. It says, "Make a subheading." And performing 30 sit-ups and then rest, it says, "Make a paragraph." Now, let's look at HTML markup. HTML uses enclosing tags instead of circles and comments to identify parts of the document. Let's look at the same document, but this time we're going to use HTML markup. Notice that main heading, My Exercises, uses the tags h1 opening and closing tags. Also, the performing 20 push-ups and then rest uses paragraph tags or p tags. Now let's talk about structure in HTML. HTML uses tags. Tags are used in HTML to identify content and give the document structure. An HTML element consists of content placed between an opening and closing tag. This is the basic structure of HTML, an opening and closing tag with a content in between. Now let's look at structure in an abstract way. You can visualize structure using a tree diagram. This will allow you to see the different relationships between different elements. In this diagram, you can see 3 levels. Level 1 is said to be a parent element of level 2. Level 2 is said to be a parent element of level 3. Also, level 2 is a child element of level 1, and level 3 is a child element of level 2. This diagram shows a definite hierarchy, where level 1 is at the top tier, level 3 is at the bottom tier, and level 2 is at the tier in between level 1 and level 3. The following figure shows structure in HTML. This figure has a section element which has 2 article child elements, one of which has 2 paragraph child elements. The section element is at the top level or top tier, the article is at the next level, and at the bottom level are the paragraph elements. The following code shows a basic HTML structure. The doc type portion lets the browser know that the HTML written in this file will adhere to the HTML5 specifications. All the rest of the HTML elements must be contained within the HTML tags. The head portion contains tags related to things other than the content displayed in the browser, for example, the title and CSS style, just to name a few. The body tag contains the content and hence the bulk of the HTML markup. Now, let's look at semantic elements. HTML has semantic elements and non-semantic elements. Semantic elements are preferred because they do provide a better description of the content that's placed between the tags. An example of a non-semantic element would be a div, and an example of a semantic element would be an h1. If we look at the div element, it does not give a good description of the content that's placed between the tags. In other words, we cannot look at the div element and know what its content should be. However, if we look at the h1 element, h1 is a header element, and that should contain the main or most important heading. Therefore, just by looking at the name of the element, we know what content should be placed between the h1 tags. There are two main types of elements: block elements and inline elements. Block elements will take up an entire row of the browser and force the next element's content to be placed on a new row, while inline elements allow the next element's content to be placed on the same row. Now let's look at some basic tags. There are comment tags to indicate comments, h1 tags, which are the most important heading, and they go from h1 all the way up to h6, and then there are paragraph tags to indicate a paragraph. We are going to go over some example code shortly, but before doing so, we will install Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code, or VS Code, is a source editor, and it will be used during this course to edit our code. I will go over the installation of VS Code for Windows 10, macOS Catalina, and finally Ubuntu 20.04 LTS. Please feel free to skip to the part of the video that is applicable to your operating system. Let's begin. Let's install Visual Studio Code on Windows 10. Go to Google and type VS Code. Go ahead and click on the first link. This will take you to code.visualstudio.com. Click Download for Windows. After it's finished downloading, select Show in Folder. And then double-click to begin the installation. Go ahead and go through the installation process. This is where you can create a desktop icon. Now that Visual Studio has finished installing, you can open VS Code from your desktop. You're now ready to start using VS Code. Let's install Visual Studio Code for macOS Catalina. Go to Google and type VS Code. Click on the first link. This will take you to code.visualstudio.com. Click Download for Mac. After it's finished downloading, you can select Show in Finder. Double-click the file to extract it. Drag it to your applications. Open your applications. Drag the file down to your dock. And then open the file. And now you're ready to use VS Code. Let's install Visual Studio Code for Ubuntu 20.04 LTS. Go to Google and type VS Code. Select the first link. This will take you to code.visualstudio.com. Click the .deb button. After the file's finished downloading, go ahead and keep the file. Then select Show in Folder. Right-click the file and select Open with Software Install. Click the Install button and then type in your password. After VS Code is installed, go to the Show Applications menu and type VS Code. Right-click on the Applications icon and select Add to Favorites. Go to the taskbar and open VS Code, and you're ready to use VS Code. Now it's time to go over some example code. Before we begin, we will install a few VS Code extensions. Click on this icon and search for Bracket Pair Colorizer. This will colorize pairs of brackets and make pairs easier to see. It will become more useful as we progress. Click Install. Next, search for Live Server. This will be used as a local host that will allow us to run our code on our computer rather than an external server. Click Install. Finally, search for Prettier. This will format our code automatically when we save our code. Click Install and you're done. Let's look at this HTML markup from earlier. In the following example, we're going to take this document and convert it to HTML code. Okay, go up to File and click Open, and go to a folder of your choice or make a folder. In this case, I made one called HTML code. Click Open, and you can see here that we can create a file or a folder. Go ahead and create a file and call it index.html. Now we're ready to begin coding. First, we need a doctype tag. That will let the browser know that we're adhering to the HTML5 specifications. The rest of the HTML must be contained within an HTML tag. And then we have to have a head tag and a body tag. And inside the head tag, we'll need a title tag, which will contain the title of the web page, which in this case is exercise routine page. So go ahead and save the file, and then go ahead and open it in Live Server by right-clicking and selecting Open with Live Server. As you can see, the title's correct, exercise routine page. Now we're going to use an H1 tag for the main heading, and the content is My Exercises. Let's go ahead and look back at the browser and see what that's like. As you can see, My Exercises, the main heading is there. Next, let's go down and do a subheading using H2 tags, and then the content is push-ups. Again, let's see what that looks like. Now let's do a P tag or paragraph tag, and the content will be perform 20 push-ups and then rest. Let's go back to Chrome and see what that's like. You can see the result of the paragraph tag. Now let's program the rest of the code. We need an H2 tag for another subheading. Crunches will be the content. And then finally, a P tag or paragraph tag, and the content will be perform 30 sit-ups and then rest. And now we can go back to Chrome and see the results, and as you can see, we have the HTML and it matches the document. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe. I look forward to bringing you the next lesson, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.